Signing a pro Clippers or anti-Lakers?
I think it's anti-Lakers. Listen, I'll leave the pro Clippers element to Max because there are obviously some elements there that you can speak positively about the Clippers. But I'm thinking about what first resonated in my mind the moment that I learned that Reggie Jackson is signing with the Clippers. I'm like, damn, what you gonna get, Lakers? And I'm looking at LeBron James and I'm looking at Rob Pelinka. Okay, LeBron James, one of the greatest ever, Mount Rushmore, mad love and respect. Rob Pelinka, we all sat up there and recognized the fact that since Magic departed, he's done a good job and we can't take anything away from him. But I mean, damn, man, look, you didn't get Derrick Rose, and I understand you didn't want to give up, you didn't want to give up a first-round pick. I got that. You didn't get Marcus Morris. I understand that the Knicks wanted Caruso and a second-round pick.
And welcome into Views from the Sideline. It's February 19th. I'm your host, Joey Tyzik, with my partner, Malik Hill, and...
Oh, boy.
Calling in...
Oh, boy.
From Cleveland. Not actually Cleveland, but
no.
Ohio. Chris Pappas. Chris, what's up?
What up?
The Budenholzer guy is back.
Oh, my goodness.
Milwaukee's own, Cleveland's own, the big Indians fan. He's here.
So
this is episode 100, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, so the big reason that we brought Chris in today is that we've found out that this is the 100th episode of Views from the Sideline.
We found out.
So we figured we'd celebrate it in what other way than one of the original creators of the podcast.
Happy to be here, fellas. I tried to get Andre Drummond in my car with me, like maybe, he's from Detroit, Cleveland, I don't know. But he wasn't about it. He said this whole Cleveland situation's a lot worse than Detroit. So.
Oh, yeah, I heard he's really angry right now. Luckily, John Beilein just left, so yeah, he might be there for a few more months, but that might be it.
He's finally figuring it out.
I think Drummond just missed me. He had to follow me to Cleveland. I don't know what's going on there.
Maybe.
Oh, and you guys see my boy Brandon Knight is back in Detroit?
Dude, should we really talk about that?
My God.
I was actually I went to the game right after the trade deadline, and I'm not gonna lie, John Henson looks really good.
I refuse to watch him. I will not watch washed up Brandon Knight. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
I won't watch Brandon Knight.
Brandon Knight only has played like 5 minutes in 2 games, right?
Good.
He barely has played anything.
Fantastic.
I mean, I didn't even think he was going to still be in the league at this point.
He is a remnant of the dark ages, and we don't need all that negativity back on this organization. He'll be gone soon.
I can rock my autographed Brandon Knight jersey again now.
It's not a good. You rock a Spencer Dinwiddie jersey first. That's more positive.
I wish I had a Dinwiddie jersey. I should have got one.
All right. Well, anyway, we're going to get back into the NBA and the Pistons talk towards the end because there's kind of a lot to talk about, lots of recap off the last week, 2 weeks that we've been off. And so instead, we decided that we're going to start out with kind of the bigger news, the bigger controversy around this state is Mark D'Antonio leaving Michigan State football.
That university is heating up right
crazy.
now. Things are getting hot at Michigan State.
Chris, what are your thoughts on it since you're the special guest today?
Well, I don't know if I got all the information accurately, but I read a few articles and it sounded like D'Antonio abruptly left MSU because he found out that He found out that they were interviewing his replacement and he wanted to be the guy to pick his replacement. So once he found that information out, he just up and left.
Oh yeah, D'Antonio.
That's what it was.
He's the number one most butthurt coach in college football history. So if he doesn't get his say, as we know, he's always angry at the fans and angry at the university that they won't just leave him alone. So yeah, pretty much that's how it went.
Yeah, and the biggest. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, from my understanding, it was like he was gonna coach this season and transition on to the next coach, and then once he found that information out, he's like, "Fuck it," I'm out.
Yeah, and the biggest thing too is that like he went to the press conference and he said that had nothing to do with anything, and that wasn't the reason why.
Yeah.
And then they just found out that he blatantly lied about it. So it's not a good look for him. It's a really rough look for Michigan State in general. But I do think they did a pretty okay job at salvaging everything, getting Mel Tucker in there.
Emphasize okay,
Yeah.
because it could have gone a lot worse, and it could have gone a lot better if it wasn't for D'Antonio. He left them in a terrible position.
Yeah, they are originally they were talking about getting Luke Fickell from Cincinnati, which would have been a great hire. Everybody wanted that. Everybody thought that was going to happen. Michigan State just screwed the pooch on that one as well. They totally ruined their chance with Fickell, and he ended up denying it. And so to be with Mel Tucker in the end of it all, I think is very lucky for Michigan State, and it's a good salvage.
Yeah,
I was
although
gonna,
yeah, he's having a tough time hiring really good assistants right now. He's pretty much just brought back a few guys on the Michigan State staff and a few guys from Colorado. He's missed out on guys from other schools that have just declined and decided to stay at their schools too. So, yeah.
I was gonna say, what's your opinion on Mel Tucker? I mean, I don't really know much
Oh,
about him coming from Colorado.
he is a big swing, which honestly Michigan State they might as well take a big swing right now, because sticking with Mark Trestman, who was the associate head coach of Michigan State, wasn't going to get them anywhere. He hasn't proven himself as a head coach yet. He's known as a great recruiter, but yeah, as a head coach, last year was his first head coaching job at Colorado. They went 5-7 and got worse on defense. He's known as a defensive coach, so he was bringing in a really good class to Colorado recruiting wise. He told all the donors and all the alumni and everybody he was staying a week ago, got a bigger offer from Michigan State and completely ditched him. So yeah, it's a boom or bust hire, honestly. It's either he like recruits very well and is a surprise, or it just completely bottoms out and in 2 or 3 years he's gone.
I think the only exciting thing about it is that at least it shows that there's going to be somewhat of a culture change for Michigan State. If anything to take away, we're going to get away from the Mark D'Antonio knows all, rules all, and Mel Tucker's going to change how Michigan State plays, and it's going to be a big difference in the next coming years. So I'm excited to see that aspect of it. But there's still a lot of work to be done. This whole
A lot of work to be
this
done.
whole university has had a lot of issues within the last few years. So hopefully that'll help ease them and maybe move on. So that's pretty much it for that. We'll go into their basketball team now, which is doing just as good as the university almost, and they're struggling. They went on another 3-game losing streak where they lost to Wisconsin, Penn State, and Michigan. They ended up rallying and beating Illinois. Well, Illinois rallied and almost beat them, but they stayed strong and they ended up coming out on top of that game. And then they lost to Maryland. So they're having a lot of struggles right now, and there's a lot of question marks on what this team is after we thought that maybe they had figured it out. Chris, have you paid any attention to Michigan State basketball recently?
Zero. Just I haven't been paying too much attention to much college hoops, more so than usually. I'm more into it, especially we're getting close to March Madness.
Right.
I mean, you guys know me. I'm more of a Michigan basketball type of person. Like, I know the Wolverines have not been doing. They started out extremely hot, and then they've played terribly. But I don't know really too much of what's going on with MSU. Is there any major concerns going into the tournament? I mean, do you think they're going to bounce back and go on a tournament run?
Well, what we were saying 2 weeks ago when we were on air is that the thing about Michigan State is their schedule to end the season is insanely difficult.
Yeah.
So we figured it would give us a good tell of whether this team was going to like make it or break it. And right now it's kind of on the cusp of breaking it. So there is a little bit of concern, but there's still a lot of talent on this team that has been kind of untapped. We've seen Rocket Watts kind of come out of nowhere recently. Not necessarily out of nowhere, but he's played a lot better. He's got more meaningful minutes. So that's a good sign. But it tends to be when Cassius isn't on that the team just falls flat.
Yeah. It's I put a lot of it on Izzo, to be honest. It is his fault primarily because yes, he's playing Rocket Watts a lot lately, but he won't put the ball in his hands and let him be himself. The only game where
Malik,
Chris,
Malik,
Have you watched the games, Chris? Have you watched the games? I'm gonna tell you what happened. I'm gonna tell you what happened. Okay. The game against Illinois a week and a half ago, he scores 21. Everybody's off. Izzo puts the ball in his hands. He scores 21 points, and Izzo just lets him do him. They win by 1. Next few games, Rocket will have a couple few spurts, and then Izzo just lets Cassius Winston, whether it's him, Aaron Henry, or Xavier Tillman. The last game against Maryland, Rocket scores 3 straight baskets, ISO hits a 3, and then the next 4 plays, Cassius Winston ISO, Aaron Henry ISO, Xavier Tillman, and then Rocket isn't in rhythm anymore. And then that's just it. Until they give him the ball and let him do what he does fully, they won't be able to do anything, because they've showed right now when they try to play Michigan State team basketball, Tom Izzo basketball, this team isn't doing it. Cassius Winston is still going through his emotional things. He has his moments, but it's not like he was early in the season. Aaron Henry hasn't taken the jump. Xavier Tillman is a really good center, but he's not a go-to guy on a regular basis. You have to let this kid take the ball and do what he does. He did it at Illinois. You won't let him do it any other game. If you don't let him do it, why is he there? That's the question. Why is he there if you won't take the cuffs off him and just let him go?
Yeah. How many minutes is Rocket playing? Is he starting?
They've been like switching starting lineups like the past 2 weeks, but he's been starting pretty much like the past 2.5 weeks. And he plays well over like 20, 25 minutes a game, sometimes 30. But yeah, he basically lets him go off when they need it the most. And besides that, he just like doesn't let him do what he wants to do. It's a problem.
And you're not just being because Rocket, you're close with Rocket, so it's not you just backing him up here.
Oh, you can ask Joey. It's clear that they're not doing what they need to do.
Yeah, I would say he's definitely shown signs of like they could be a really dynamic duo between him and Cassius Winston.
Yeah.
And I am a little confused of why that, like Malik said, like why they're afraid to kind of like let loose on the reins and just like put Aaron Henry to the wayside, and those guys that we originally thought were gonna be the like number 3 guy on this team, and just let Rocket be that guy at this point already. I agree with that entirely. That it's a little bit odd, and I'm a little bit maybe not concerned, but it's interesting, I guess. And that seems like, and I get where Malik's coming from, where he thinks that it's an Izzo problem, because that seems to be a very, very Izzo thing to do, is let his veteran guys try to get the job done, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
So yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Michigan State still has a rough schedule ahead of them, so we'll have to.
Up next, they got Nebraska, and that's probably the only break they have left.
Yeah, and it's not going to get any easier. So we'll have to kind of wait and see still. But there's still, like, the entire season has been, there's some concerns, and then there's some bright spots.
Yeah.
But yeah.
As of right now, where do you see them being ranked in the tournament?
I'd say because they're Michigan State and everybody loves Tom Izzo and they expect him to make runs in March. They're never going to put Michigan State 7-8 seed. Michigan State is probably going to get at least 6 at the lowest. I could still see them getting like a 5 seed. If they end winning like 3-3 or like 4-2 in these last few games, they're going to end up with like a 5 seed. Maybe even a 4, because people just love Tom Izzo.
Yeah, and the tricky thing too is that the Big Ten is just crazy. It's like the Wild West out here. It's definitely, I think, the best conference in the country. And so there's only a couple Big Ten teams that are even ranked in the top 25 right now. But almost from like top to bottom, almost every Big Ten has almost been ranked in the top 25 at least once this whole season. So it's kind of crazy and hard to figure out where teams are necessarily going to get ranked. Because at one point we were talking about Michigan maybe having to play in the NIT, and now it looks like, okay, maybe they can get back in the tournament. So it's kind of all over the place.
My next question too. I was going to say, where is Michigan on the outside looking in right now, or
I think I'll take this one over a little.
Go for
Because
it.
I heard you say they were pretty bad for a little stretch, because that's because Isaiah Livers was hurt for about 5 or 6 games, and they were figuring things out. They only got like 2 wins in that stretch. They lost some home games, but ever since he's been back, they've won 4 straight. They're 16-9, 7-7 in conference. They have a really good resume for a team that's just 16-9. They beat Michigan State a few weeks ago. They're really hot right now, and they're looking good. Unlike Michigan State, their schedule is pretty manageable.
It's easier
for the rest of the way. Yeah, even if they just go 3-3 in this last stretch, they're gonna make the tournament. I'm pretty sure right now they're projected as like a 7th or 8th seed because of how good their resume is just from the preseason. So yeah, they're in good standing right now.
I do think they need to win. They play Rutgers tonight, which I think
Yeah,
is
this
a big game for them, because as much as me and Malik joke about Rutgers, they've been a really good
They
team
haven't
this
lost
year.
at home.
Yeah, so this would be a big win for them. And then their only other like big games are Ohio State, and they end the season on at Maryland, which is going to be really tough. So they can definitely make some noise and get themselves getting into the tournament. But I don't think at this point they're going to have a problem getting in. At least I don't see it, unless, like we said, they lose all their last games.
Chris, do you know anything about Big Ten standings right now?
nope.
What if I told you Penn State was first in the Big Ten at the moment?
No, it's Maryland.
Well, yeah, they were tied yesterday, but they lost. But Penn State is the second best team in the Big Ten this year, Chris.
That's insane. It's been a wonky year
Or-
for basketball. I feel like.
Or what if we told you that Rutgers is ahead of Michigan State and Michigan
Yeah,
in conference play?
Weird. That's a weird basketball year.
I've loved it. I love when things get shaken up, and the Big Ten
Yeah.
is the deepest I've ever seen it. So I'm loving every minute of it.
I think it's super exciting.
Chris, have you caught
Yeah.
any Dayton highlights? Obi Toppin down there? You watched any of him?
Obi Toppin. Oh, I've seen Obi Toppin. I like that kid.
He's probably going to be a lottery pick. He's a problem.
Well, they what was it? I think it was Sports Illustrated came out with their most recent mock draft like 2 or 3 days ago, and they had the Pistons slated at 7, taking Obi. And
I
think it's
would
what-
love that pick.
I waver with Obi. I think Obi's high risk, high reward. Like, I like the kid. Don't get me wrong. At 7, it depends on who's there. Like, I do like Cole Anthony better than Obi.
Cole's probably going top 5 though.
See, there's a lot of talk of Cole dropping towards the like the 8 to 10 range. I just hope the Pistons land in the top 5.
Exactly.
That's all I want.
Yeah, they're in a positive swing right now. Hopefully it pays off. But we're not doing Pistons talk.
I mean, we can basically transition in the NBA unless, Malik, you had something else you wanted to talk about in college.
No, we can save that for next week.
Because, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
we can save
the
that.
top of
There's
the
a
ranking.
lot of stuff in the NBA to talk about.
Yeah, and the top of
Yeah.
the college stuff hasn't changed a whole lot
Ba-
necessarily. It's still
yeah.
Baylor.
Baylor just broke the record for most conference wins in a row in the Big 12.
Yeah,
23 in a row.
so that's big news. But other than that,
Did you
like
guys
college.
talk-
Say what?
I was gonna say, did you guys talk about NBA trade deadline yet?
No, I was gonna. Well, we did, but we'll rehash that a little
Oh
bit.
yeah.
So yeah, we'll just move on to the NBA right now, and we'll backtrack all the way to that. So NBA trade deadline, we talked about it a little bit, but Chris, what are your thoughts? Mainly, of course, on Drummond, and then maybe some of the other minor moves that happened, or the big one.
Yeah. The Drummond move, like, they waited way too long. They waited way too long to make any sort of move. They asked for too much in the beginning with Atlanta. They probably could have gotten a young, promising player and then some expiring deal from Atlanta and maybe a second-round pick. Instead, they waited way too long, put too many eggs in one basket, and had to settle for a salary dump and a useless second-round pick because they got word late close to the deadline that Drummond was going to opt into his deal. So then you have to hold on to Drummond for another year for a player you're not going to pay, and then you lose about $25 million in free agency money you'd have this offseason, whether you use that on free agents or use that to maneuver trades and all that type of stuff. They just waited way too long to move Drummond. and literally had to settle for anything on the market.
They
right before
they
the
settled
deadline.
they settled for Cleveland Cavaliers season tickets pretty much. That's what they settled for.
Yeah, that was the worst package I've seen for a player of Andre's caliber.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you the last time it was that poor of a package.
Okay. Do you think they scared off other teams after talking to Atlanta and wanting so much? Or do you think that teams just started realizing like how little value Drummond had?
I think it was a combination of the Pistons asking for too much, and then when also the fear of or the word starting to come out that Andre was going to opt in,
Right.
not negotiate a contract extension, but opt in to that big number of 28.9 million or something like that.
Yeah. So
Go ahead.
because my big thing is that I just don't think that there was, like a lot of people started saying, I just don't think there was a market for him. I don't think contenders wanted to give anything up of significance that the Pistons would have wanted in return, to where they would have said, okay, we want Andre Drummond so we can make a title run. I just don't think that's what any of those top teams were looking for, even though like the Rockets had come out and said that they were going to look for another center, things like that. But I just think there wasn't really a market and they just had to go. I'm glad though that they ended up just going with something to get him out of there.
Yeah. No, I agree. They just needed to move on, start fresh, and I mean, grading the deal, Pistons get what? Brandon Knight, John Henson, and a 2023 second-round pick, lesser of the two Golden State second-round picks Cleveland acquired. I give that a C-. Only reason it's not a D+ is because you get rid of Andre, you get rid of the opportunity of him opting in.
Right. You're
Which
basically
helps
getting
you.
money.
Yeah, you're embracing a rebuild, which to me is not a failing grade.
Right.
Yeah, the fact that they're actually embracing the rebuild is shocking to me. So, baby steps.
But they don't get a higher grade than that because they waited too long.
Exactly.
If they tried to trade him last offseason, they could have gotten something.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying a first-round pick, but a player of value.
Yeah, I hate that they waited so long, and I hated all the Luke trade talks because I'll always say that would have been a mistake. I'm happy they ended up keeping him. But what do you think they should do with Blake Griffin at this point? Because there's still so much left on that contract.
There's nothing they can do.
You think
No one
nobody
wants
would?
Blake right now.
They have to wait another year, basically.
Yeah.
They have to see how Blake responds after surgery. No one's going to trade for $38 million on a contract up and then adding upwards of that for 2 more seasons after that, not seeing how Blake responds to his 4th knee surgery.
Yeah, that will go down as one of the most strangest trades in NBA history, in my opinion. To like forever, them trading for Blake.
Now the trade to me was like it would have worked out like if Blake could stay healthy, but you were betting on a player that doesn't have very good health.
Exactly. When he came here, we all knew he was an injury-prone star. That we all knew it.
And it worked out for a season.
Blake
was the only thing that got them
players.
into the What were you about to say?
Blake was one of the top 15 players in 18-19. I mean, he was an absolute monster before he got hurt.
Yeah, he basically had like a career year almost.
Yeah.
A lot of people said that was his best year.
Yeah.
It was, honestly.
In his career.
Yeah, I would say it definitely is up there and debatable at least.
Oh yeah.
Do you think that the Pistons should have moved Derrick Rose at that deadline?
Oh, I waver on that a lot.
Because Derrick does say that he likes playing in Detroit. He's embraced it, which is always a big thing for Detroit fans.
Yeah. To me, I wish I worked in the front office, but I don't. I don't know what offers were on the table, so it's hard for me to say yes or no, because to me it depends on what you're offered. If you're offered a first-round pick, I would have done it.
I was going to say,
you're embracing a rebuild.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think it was first-round pick or bust for Derrick Rose?
It sounded like to me it was a good first-round pick or bust. They weren't going to trade Derrick Rose for a 20s first-round pick, which to me I would have done.
I would have too. I think as much as I talk about this draft being really weak, I think in the
I
later
don't think it is really weak. I don't really think it is. I think people are kind of overblowing that.
Well,
Personally,
I think it's actually a weak draft, but I think it's a very deep draft where you can get value in later picks and even in the second round. I think that could end up being steals for the future.
Yeah, maybe it's the lottery that'll just end up being the weakest part of this draft.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Technically,
well, I mean, there's no Zion or Ja in this draft,
Yeah,
but there's no this. If you get the first pick, you get this star, and your team is set.
well,
Yeah.
James
There's not
Wiseman.
that.
James Wiseman is going to be the number 1 pick, but yeah, we
Who?
don't know what's gonna. James Wiseman is going to be the number 1, but we don't know what's
Yeah,
gonna.
but here's the thing with that. Like, James Wiseman, don't get me. I like James Wiseman, but investing your number 1 pick into a center
Yeah,
nowadays.
Times are changing. You are right.
Like the Suns did that with DeAndre Ayton because that's like, oh, you gotta take him. The reason why they didn't take Luka or Trey, I mean, that's gonna look so bad on Phoenix. If Phoenix could have added Luka,
But
Devin Booker.
But I mean that's something that'll last in the NBA until the end of time.
yeah.
But big men will be something that if there's a big man of that caliber, he will go number 1. That's something that will always last, unless there's a generational talent at guard or like a Zion Williamson. You know that's always going to be around.
But I mean, that shouldn't be nowadays with how the game is turning. Like,
But
GMs should not look at it that way.
But that's why
Because-
that's why all big men are learning how to shoot the 3 and extend their game now. Which almost every center that comes into the draft does that. Everyone that gets picked at the top
That's
now.
true too. It's true too. It's just, to me, I think there's better because by taking a player at the number 1 pick, you're locking in big money to that player, even though it's still a rookie scale contract. The rookie scale contract for the number 1 overall pick is just under $10 million a season, which is a good chunk of your salary cap. And locking that much money into a big man who is just a first-year rookie is a lot of money. I mean, that was what a lot of people. I mean, I know I'm not trying to compare James Wiseman to Andre Drummond, but the fact that like teams don't want to pay $30 million a season to a center anymore. That's just what it is.
Right.
You don't want to put a lot of your salary cap money into a center. Pay a center 10, 15 million. 10, 15 million is probably the most you're going to see centers get paid that aren't shooting 3 or like a stretch 4 or someone that can.
Joel Embiid is probably the only one left that'll get that much money.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I mean, just look at DeMarcus Cousins in the offseason.
Yeah.
He had to go for a minimum
Yeah, he got nothing.
after being one of the best players in the league for
Yeah.
quite a while. So
Yep.
it definitely shows you kind of where the league is going. So it's a toss up. But I think that's what the big thing about this draft is that this lottery, there's so many question marks for every single player. They all have talent, but there's always like one question mark for each of these players. Like James Wiseman is still somewhat unproven. LaMelo Ball is still somewhat unproven.
I
And
want
it's like-
LaMelo Ball.
It's like all these weird little question marks that nobody really knows.
I would like him or Anthony Edwards. I'd like Anthony Edwards, but they're not going to be high enough.
Is going to go number 1.
It's probably depending on the team. It's possible because he came into college at 17 because he reclassed, and he still was going crazy on people in college. So yeah, he's only 18. Within 2 years, who knows how good he's going to be? So
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the highlights of Maker?
oh, the Thon's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
he's
2020 draft eligible.
listen, man. He's another case like Thon. How's anybody supposed to trust that again?
That's true.
He looks more skilled than Thon.
Thon looked crazy skilled, and he did a lot of stuff in high school that he can't get away with in the NBA anymore.
He's starting to look better though. He's looked better.
That's because he's bought into being a center. When he first came in, it was all about you're supposed to be the new crazy like 7-foot guy that also has a crossover. Yeah. He realized he has to be a center. So
How do you guys like the nickname for the Pistons front line now? The Thin Towers with Christian Wood and
I mean, I guess.
I don't know how long either of them are gonna stay. So I guess I like it for now.
I
but
hope they can re-sign Christian Wood.
Yeah,
Christian
I
Wood
agree
looks
with that.
good.
Yeah.
What do you guys think he gets paid in the offseason?
I think he's gonna get a good chunk. I think
Not
somebody.
a lot. Not a lot. Not less than 10.
Well,
Less than 10 million.
the
Ooh,
thing
I
is,
think
like,
more. I think more than 10.
I
Nah.
might be with Chris on that because it's weird. Like, this offseason is going to also be weird because a lot of teams are saving up for next summer, which is what I kind of wish the Pistons would do. But there are teams that have money for this offseason that might need a piece like Christian Wood. So it'll be interesting, like, if somebody's going to throw money out at him.
Well, if they gave him like a 2-year 24 or something like that, or like a 3-year for like just a little over 10 million, I wouldn't be surprised, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I was thinking like 3 years, 36 million.
I was about to
2
say
years.
that wouldn't be
Yeah.
too crazy. Yeah.
But I think he's
I think
definitely shown that he can get money
Yeah,
this offseason.
I agree. What about the D'Angelo Russell trade? What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, that was the next thing I was going to ask you is, like, I think it was a great deal. I think honestly more so, I think it's better for the Warriors.
I'm on you
Really?
with that. So many people are negative towards the Andrew Wiggins side, and I think, I don't know what you're about to say, but now that he's in a winning culture, it's a fresh start. He knows he doesn't have to live up to the crazy expectations anymore. What if he's a better version than Harrison Barnes? Steph gets healthy, Clay gets healthy, Draymond is back, and then Andrew Wiggins, who, if he's a better version of Harrison Barnes, that's terrifying.
Yeah. Well, that's what a lot of people have said, is that he could be like that Harrison Barnes now of the early team before Durant, which would be great. But the other thing too that I've heard, and I don't know if I agree or not agree, but they've talked about flipping Andrew Wiggins again for a different star, which I
Golden
think
State.
that could work out too.
Who's gonna want Andrew Wiggins? The fact that
That's a
the
good question,
Warriors wanted him, I was shocked by that. He was like, Andrew Wiggins is one of the most unwanted contracts in the NBA before this deal.
Yeah. Well, they would have to throw in like a pick or something, but I think that they could figure it out. And they've had some of those young guys show out this year pretty well, that they throw one of them into the deal. You never know what you could turn around for that.
I mean, that's true. I like Eric Pascal. I think he's been doing really
He's good,
well.
yeah.
I mean,
He's
I
got dominant stuff.
I think that they hold on to him. I don't think they're actually going to trade him, but I feel like it's a win-win. Like, they can do things with Andrew Wiggins. So I think it's a big deal for them. For Minnesota, I don't know if D'Angelo is really going to tip the scales a whole lot. That team, they just have a lot of problems. And I don't think it ever was just Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. I think just the whole issue is Minnesota.
That organization has problems, but it's a positive because they already look rejuvenized. Have you seen how Malik Beasley has played since he got to Minnesota?
That has been a
I
surprise.
told you guys Malik Beasley was going to be good.
Sure
I
you did.
told you guys.
Sure you did.
I mostly just wanted to see
my-
like Jarrett Culver and stuff. So
My issue with this is the Minnesota Timberwolves before this trade had one major issue with their team. Their major issue was they are the worst defensive team in the NBA.
by far,
Adding D'Angelo Russell takes away a perimeter defender, which Andrew Wiggins wasn't that good perimeter defender, but he was a perimeter defender.
Malik
and adds a
Beasley is
point
though.
guard, but you add a point guard who's terrible at defense. And then Karl Anthony Towns is one of the worst defensive centers in the NBA that we've seen in a long time. So you're going to have point guards get right past D'Angelo Russell and go attack Cat. Like, this team is going to be one of the worst defensive teams we've seen in so long. Their offense is going to be really good. They're going to put up points, but they're going to give up so much.
Listen here, you believe in Malik Beasley. He's going to show you that he's a lockdown at the 2. Juancho Hernan Gomez is going to surprise people as a defender at the 4.
Beasley can't guard 5 positions.
He can't.
they're gonna.
I'm just mentioning them 2.
That's why I said they're gonna need Jarrett Culver to get minutes. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think he could be a key player for them. I liked him in the draft, and he's a good long defender. He can definitely guard at least 1 through 4, I would think. So yeah, they have pieces, and they're an interesting team, but I don't know.
But they're Minnesota.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
What were some of the the other major trades at the deadline? What am I missing?
There weren't a whole bunch of crazy ones. The D'Angelo trade was the big one.
There was another big one though. Oh, the Capella deal.
Capella to Atlanta, which we
I
haven't
liked that.
we haven't seen him in Atlanta yet, so we don't know how that's
we won't
gonna.
see him for a while either. We
Yeah.
won't see him for a while.
Well, his
else?
chemistry with Trey won't be a problem because Trey throwing he chucks threes and throws lobs. Pretty much that's his whole game
Yeah.
for the most part. So yeah,
What
they're
do you guys think of Houston playing PJ Tucker at the center?
listen, man. So far, it doesn't look terrible. We'll see how it continues. But if they figure this out purely through analytics, like they've been trying to for the past 10 years, just chucking out all regular basketball sense and saying we're going by the numbers. If this somehow works and they get to the Western Conference Finals, it would be like insane. But I don't see it. I still don't see it.
I was gonna say, go ahead.
My other thing too is that whatever can get Russell Westbrook to not shoot threes is helping your team.
Yeah. And he's been playing he's been pretty incredible for the past few months.
Yeah.
I hate to admit it because I'm not a Russ fan. We all know he's great, but he's been ridiculous for the past few months.
Yeah.
See, I think the Rockets are gonna get swept out of the first round of playoffs. I have zero confidence in them.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, here's an interesting one then. Who do you think is going to get that 8th seed in the West?
Memphis.
Do you think Memphis is going to stick it out?
Yeah, I think Portland is too inconsistent right now. As much as I love Dame, especially Dame's out for a few weeks now too.
I feel so bad for Dame, man.
They just haven't had enough production around him. I could totally see Portland moving CJ McCollum this offseason too, just because they've been around for so long, and I feel like they're gonna maybe make a move just to make a move and try to switch it up and get new blood in there. But yeah, I'm gonna say Memphis. I'm just gonna ride with them.
Yeah,
I like Ja. I think Ja's been fantastic.
Portland stripped their entire bench from last season, and they got rid of Mo Harkless and Al-Farouq Aminu. So they had to get Carmelo to try and be respectable. That shows you how bad they've fallen down.
Well, Melo's been playing well. I don't hate on that.
He has,
the fact that
they missed their meaningful moves by 2 or 3 years. Signing Hassan Whiteside, I knew from the start that was going to be a tragedy because Hassan Whiteside hasn't been good since his second or third year in Miami. He barely tries, and he's not that talented anymore. But yeah, it's all bad. I wish Dame's probably going to stick it out in Portland for a long time, but I don't know if they're going to get him what he needs. But yeah, Ja Morant has been incredible. He's something else.
He's Rookie of the Year.
I think the Pelicans might have a chance to get in.
What?
Yeah, I think so.
Is this just the Pelicans bias, or you really think they're about to hit an 8-10 game win streak?
It is a little bit of bias. I will give you that. But they have played really well with Zion. I thought that they were going to have chemistry issues when he came in, and they've looked better than I thought they would with Zion in.
Because Zion is an unselfish player, I'm not surprised they're clicking right now.
Right. And I just thought that the way that Brandon Ingram has been playing this year, that was going to mess his flow up somehow, but it hasn't. JJ Redick has stepped up recently. I think they're a dangerous team.
Oh yeah, they've improved. The improvement Alonzo Ball has done wonders for that team.
Yeah.
And plus everybody taking that next step has been huge.
I mean, as of right now, the Pelicans are 6 games out of a playoff spot.
Yeah.
That's why.
That's a lot.
Joey is expecting them to hit that magical run.
There are 25 games left, and I understand time is short.
And then Pelicans win 9 out of 10 to finish the season.
But hey, you never know. You never know.
See, you never know, but sometimes you just know.
Listen,
It's not gonna happen.
I won't trust New Orleans until they get the Jazz name back, and that's probably never going to happen again.
Oh, that's not happening.
It's never going to happen. So it is what it is in New Orleans. They've got a promising future.
What do you guys think about the whole John Beeline stuff?
Well, we're on that. Happy you brought it up.
I don't know. I think a lot of people kind of figured it wouldn't work, but a lot of us were kind of hoping that it would. But it just goes to show, his old school coaching and stuff like that, it just doesn't work in the NBA. The players have too much of a, I don't know if it's necessarily ego, but there's just
Ego is a big part
there's
of
just
it. Tristan Thompson shouldn't be going crazy at a coach about anything.
yeah. But there's just like a separation between coach and player in the NBA, and that's always going to cause problems. If the coach doesn't click right away, it's like he's never going to click.
Did you see the report that came out today that Andre Drummond, just being there and for 2 games, literally already said it's either I'm not staying or Beeline's got to go.
Yeah, I heard that they weren't like, he just already goes in there and he's threatening that he's not going to come back if Beeline stays.
Yeah,
Which
I think when it comes to Andre on that one, Andre has had such a bad run with coaches in his Detroit years. I mean, Stan Van Gundy looked like he was going to be the guy for Andre, and then it just completely fell flat. They bring in Dwayne Casey, who was coach of the year before, and now apparently Andre is saying Dwayne Casey wasn't that good of a coach. Like, I think he just has a mistrust with coaches because he's just been burned year after year after year. So I can only take what he says with a grain of salt, but it is a bad look that he steps in a few days and he's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's not your place to say anything just yet.
Right.
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, but there's also the factor of the older veteran players for the Cavaliers throwing temper tantrums and acting like children. Like, that whole Cleveland organization, LeBron is the only reason in this century that the Cleveland Cavaliers have been relevant. When he's not there, they completely fall apart and have no idea what to do. So this is just another example of John Beeline is a great coach. Let's hire him. He knows how to coach young guys. He can do it, and it completely falls apart. I don't know where they go from this. Dan Gilbert he'll probably say something crazy soon and put his foot in his mouth again. I don't know where they go from here. The Cavs, to be honest.
Well, the interesting thing to me is John Beeline wanted out of Cleveland so bad. He let go of the remainder of his contract money. Like, he's not accepting the rest of his huge contract.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He literally is just walking away. He's like, I'm out. I'm done. I can't do it anymore.
yeah.
And the funniest part is he's about to moonwalk right back to college. And
Where do you think he's going to go in college?
Listen, Shaka Smart isn't doing good at Texas.
I would say there's probably a lot of spots.
There are some coaches that aren't doing as good as people thought. I think the Indiana thing probably isn't going to happen. Archie Miller, Indiana's probably going to keep him a few more years, but that's a possibility. A good school, even if it's a mid-major job, a school with potential is going to take John Beeline. And I think if he goes to a mid-major, people better be terrified because I don't even want to see him at a big school. I want to see him at a school where nobody's paying attention, and all of a sudden you look up in 2 years and they're making a tournament run because Beeline is back. So, yeah, I'm excited for him to get back to college. I wouldn't be surprised if he went to, like, Texas because Luke Yaklich is there, and they were at Michigan together a year ago, so it's possible. Yeah, he'll be fine. Cleveland is a mess, though.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how the Pistons really dodged a bullet on John Beeline, though? Because if Casey wasn't there, they would have hired Beeline.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe. You never know, though. Like, it all depends on, like, system and everything. Like, you never know.
You see how Andre is reacting to Beeline after 2 days.
We had Andre.
After 2 months of
Never
Beeline,
mind.
Andre probably would have just stopped playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andre would have ruined it.
And Reggie would have went out there and took 30 shots a game and said, F you, Beeline. I'm hooping.
I think
All right. Go ahead.
the one thing that I've heard people talk about, though, is that Beeline maybe could have worked if he went somewhere where one of his former players was at, because then you get that disconnect kind of from a player, and the player can go up to some of the other guys and be like, hey, I know this guy has a different kind of coaching tactic, but trust me, it works. We've done it before. I know it seems odd, but just trust it.
Yeah.
And in Cleveland, he didn't have any of that. And the organization is already having multiple problems, like Malik said. So it just didn't sound like a good idea. Obviously, I mean, we've heard it on ESPN. Chauncey Billups, the reason why he turned down the Cleveland job is because he knew how bad it was there.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
if a guy like Chauncey, who's very smart, very knowledgeable about the game, turns Cleveland down, I think that's a telltale sign.
And I think it all comes straight from ownership. I mean, because it's a different GM. It's all ownership is why there's something going on there. And
Yeah.
honestly, I think until Gilbert sells the team, which won't happen, it's always going to be like that.
Yep. That's how Detroit and Cleveland are hooked at the hip. Is their owners won't leave.
At least Tom Gores
I
isn't
will-
cursing the superstars of the franchise like Dan did with LeBron.
Gore, you can give Gorse as much crap as you want, but I will say he runs a way more functional organization than Dan Gilbert.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's why
100%.
since this century has started, since 2000, if it wasn't for LeBron, where would the Cavaliers be? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
If Gorse, actually, I thought it was a big move letting them trade Drummond for nothing.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
was shocked by that too. 'Cause
Yeah,
Gorse
that was a
loves
big one.
Drummond. So
Yeah.
to me, that gave me more confidence in Tom Gorse.
Yeah. Maybe
Gorse-
maybe somebody's talking sense into him.
Yeah,
Um.
and I think Ed Stefanski has done a great job. Like, at least maybe he's the one getting in Gorse's ear. Like, hey, we got to rebuild, or this is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this offseason will be a big tell for the Pistons. It's gonna
When they
be.
sign Fred VanVleet and Brandon Ingram, I'll be happy.
Moving on.
Shooting for the stars there, Chris. Shooting for the stars.
I'm still in the neighborhood of saving their money for next year or something, but I'm not 100% sure because there will be a lot of teams in the market next year. So there'd be more bidding wars. So I'm not 100% sure on that. But
I think the Pistons have the third most cap space this offseason. Third or
Yeah,
second. It's like they have like $37 million.
yeah, I think they're behind the Hawks and maybe the Suns or something.
Charlotte?
Maybe.
Is it
Yeah.
Hawks? Charlotte?
Charlotte, you
Something
might be
like
right.
that.
I can't remember. But I know the Hawks are number 1 for sure.
I want LaMelo Ball.
What? Please do not hedge all your bets on LaMelo Ball. Please don't.
It'd be fun. LeVar Ball comes to Detroit now too.
That's not
some
what that
entertainment.
is not. No.
I want some entertainment.
That's why they kept Derrick Rose, to keep butts in seats.
Yeah.
But yeah, LaMelo is good. I would like if they drafted him, but you want the circus.
Yeah.
And the circus is what ruined Lonzo in LA. The circus is pretty
Yeah.
much what killed LiAngelo's career. And LaMelo got away from his dad and went to Australia. So he's his own man now. Let's keep that going.
Yeah, the Pistons are going to have some big choices, both on draft night and just free agency, and it's going to be kind of a telltale sign of where the franchise is headed, which is exciting and scary at the same time.
Yeah. That draft lottery, a lot of Pistons fans are going to be sweating during that draft lottery,
Yeah,
including me, because I am somewhat buying in again.
yeah.
Eh,
Well, there's a little bit of excitement just for actually, like we said, embracing a rebuild.
I feel like Chris might shed a tear if the Pistons fall out of the top 5
oh,
in that
God.
draft lottery. He might shed just a single one. Wipe it away
I'll
real
be
quick.
I'll be jumping for joy if they get the number 1 pick. Yeah, I will be screaming.
I'm sure you'll call both of us and screaming at the top of your lungs wherever you're at.
We got to do. I think draft lotteries on Wednesdays. Usually I'm off on Wednesdays. We should maybe do like a live show for that if we need to.
I'm down with that.
All right,
That'd be fun.
try to figure something out then.
Yeah.
Did you watch the All-Star game or All-Star weekend at all?
Unfortunately, I was in the hospital literally all this past week. Unfortunately, but so I really missed. I just watched highlights.
Hospital
But I
doesn't have
saw the-
TNT.
Jesus.
My concern is not if the TV has.
I was
TNT
about
on
to, yeah.
it.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I was about to ask if you watched the highlights.
Sometimes I'm just saying, like, to ease being in a hospital. It's not like,
that wasn't-
okay, for picture here for the people that don't know, Chris wasn't in the hospital. He was at the hospital, but he wasn't
Yeah.
in the hospital. He wasn't
Yeah.
admitted. He was there. Not that you're not like taking care of
Joey's just
Yeah,
digging this
Joey,
deeper
keep going.
and deeper.
Yeah, I know. Joey, keep going.
I'm just
He's
saying.
Let's get to
Joey-
the events. Let's get to those
Malik,
events, Joey.
Malik,
Huh?
I'm just trying to take care of my fiance while she's in the hospital, and Joey's just trying to get me to watch basketball.
Well, I'm just confused at why, like, you might not be like, oh, All-Star Weekend. Let's try to lighten the mood.
Listen, man,
Joey, you are just digging yourself a hole.
I cannot
God.
wait until me and Joey make the road trip to Cleveland. It will
guys
be a
gotta come
ball. I
down.
can't wait. But
You guys should come down for a weekend. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
what'd you think about the All-Star highlights?
Well, the All-Star game was awesome. The highlights.
I thought it was pretty cool. I thought the new rules were all right. I think, like Joel Embiid said, it shouldn't end on a free throw. But everything else, I enjoyed the game a little, like a lot. Although they kept the young guys out because they were getting extra competitive and they wanted the vets to like play hard defense and all that. But yeah, it was a pretty good game.
You guys see Chris Paul get up on that alley-oop?
Oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah,
I had to rewind like a couple times
Yeah.
because
I did too.
they literally they went out of a highlight, and as soon as they went out of the highlight, Chris Paul was dunking. So I was like, wait, they didn't get the full thing, so I had to go back and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
35-year-old Chris Paul still getting up.
He said it's because he's on an all veggie diet.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So
He's a dedicated, strict dude.
yeah.
Do what he's gotta do.
Do you like? So you guys like the Elam ending is what they're calling it, where they have a target score.
Well, I like that because it makes it more competitive. Like, and it's All-Star games are always gonna be close because that's just how it is. You play around in the first half, and then in like the last few quarters you start really getting into it. But yeah, it just shouldn't end on a free throw.
Yeah,
Chris-
I agree. That's the only thing I would change.
Yeah. Chris, did you turn your phone to speaker or something?
What's that?
Or did you turn your phone to like speaker or something? Because we can hear echo now.
You
We-
can't hear me anymore?
No, we can hear
No,
ourselves.
we hear ourselves.
Oh no, I haven't changed anything.
Okay. Oh, great.
Hold on, let me try something. Hold on. Let me try something. All right, tell me now. Do you see anything? Did anything change?
Nope.
It
I
almost
still hear
seems
myself.
louder.
Yeah.
It's fine though. We can keep going.
Yeah.
Uh,
Where was I at?
See, he can't even get back on topic
Oh.
because of the hospital.
No, the next point that I was gonna make is that do you think that the reason that they played hard was because of Kobe, or do you think that they can keep that competitiveness next year?
I think it's a mixture of both.
No elaboration.
Can you hear me?
Short, sweet, got to the point. I love it.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know. I couldn't hear you guys for a second. But I think it was a mixture of both. I think it's more so Kobe. But I think this target score and everything will keep it more competitive in the long run.
Malik.
I also think it was a mix of both, but it was a competitive game last year. It's always competitive near the end. But it does get more competitive with these targeted scores now. So I think that's the element that's making it better. Teams trying to get to a certain like target of points is making it a lot better.
Yeah.
Chris, is there any other NBA news that you wanted to talk about, or maybe make a little speech about?
Shout out Reggie Jackson, the Reggie Drummond era. It was fun.
Was it?
A lot of laughs, a lot of cheers.
A lot of cheers.
First playoff berth since 2009. Yeah. So rest in peace to that era.
You are definitely optimistic. I can say that, Chris. You see the bright spots in all the bad eras.
Yeah. But that's about it. That's about it.
What do you what are your thoughts coming up on like the end of the season here? As
What
we
was that,
go
Joe?
down the stretch. As we go down the stretch, what do you see happening throughout the East and the West?
I would say I see the Lakers taking it. Honestly, I think they're winning the championship this year.
Oh no,
Yeah, I think the Lakers are going to win it
I don't see them
pretty
getting past the Clippers.
convincingly.
You
Pretty
think
convincingly.
well, let's talk about that for a
Convincingly.
second then. Do you think the Lakers have a better best of 7 than the Clippers?
It's very close. It's very close. I think that's a 7-game series right there. And I think LeBron is just, I don't know. There's the whole Kobe thing. I believe in kind of weird stuff happening, and I think the Lakers are just going to pull it out.
So you're no longer a Budenholzer Buck fan.
I think it's going to be Lakers and Bucks in the finals, and the Lakers pull it out.
I can't see the Lakers getting out of the West. I don't know why.
Because of the Clippers?
Partially, yeah. Because I just feel like in the West, there's just a couple teams that are dangerous to play in a best of 7 that I don't know outside of LeBron and Anthony Davis where the Lakers are going to get their production from. They didn't make any moves. They didn't get anything done. They've failed in like every aspect of what they were trying to do.
Yeah. And the guy they expected to take another big jump, Kuzma, he's pretty much just stayed the same as he's been the past few years. So they need a lot more out of him. They need him to average close to like 23, 24 in the playoffs for them to really be a championship team. And I don't know if he can do that.
I mean, even with you guys saying all those things, though, they're still sitting atop the West as the 1 seed currently
But
without accomplishing anything.
there are teams that do really well in the regular season, and then when that 7-game playoff like tempo changes, things get a lot different.
Yeah. Those old
And-
Blake Griffin Clippers
Yeah.
were notorious.
That's why a lot of people are saying the Lakers still need to make some moves, because everybody knows when the playoffs get here, it's going to be a lot different. You win a lot of games in the regular season, that's great. You got into the playoffs, but once you get there, you got to show that you're like really, really like separate yourself from different teams.
And plus, too, you got to think the Clippers have been playing it easy. Like, they've sat Kawhi. Paul George has been
Yeah.
kind of in and out. They're kind of just coasting,
It's
I
the
think.
it's the calm before the storm, in
Yeah.
my opinion. Yeah, they exactly. They're coasting. Sit some guys sometimes. Every time Kawhi plays, he's averaging close to like 30. He's playing out of his mind whenever he plays. Paul George has been okay. Pat Bev is still getting back. They're just they're taking it easy, and then they're going to turn it up during playoff time. And I think a lot of teams people expect them to be really good in the playoffs, but I think they're going to be even better than we think.
Yeah.
I mean, another question you have to ask, too, is Paul George going to be healthy during the playoffs? He's been, how many games has he played this year? Like 19 games total? And he's not been consistent because his shoulder's been so hurt.
No, that's
a valid question to ask.
It is.
Are the Clippers going to be healthy come playoff time? And then if they're not, that's not even going to be a 7-game series. If you don't have Paul George, Lakers are going to run away with that.
Yeah.
I still don't think so.
Yeah, because you're a hater, Malik.
Because
All
I'm taking Kawhi in 7. I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm taking Kawhi.
We basically have run out of time, so I'm going to ask you one last question, Chris.
All right, let's hear it.
Do the Bucks have a chance?
To win it all?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
know
they
you
have a
just said
chance.
that the Lakers, that's your
Yeah.
pick, but do the Bucks have a chance?
Yes. They're coached by Mike Budenholzer.
Now he's
I had to say that.
now he's trying to get back on the Budenholzer.
But no, they do have a chance. I think like I said, I have the Lakers and the Bucks in the finals, and I think that would be a good series. It would not surprise me at all if the Bucks pulled it out, but I'm not choosing them to.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it was great to have you back on the show, Chris. Always good to talk to you. Good to hear from you. We'll try
Yeah,
to
it
get
was
you back
fun.
on some other time, like we said, maybe the draft. Maybe we can get you on one of the NCAA tournament days. Maybe the preview bracket, we can get that
Oh yeah,
figured
we
out.
need to do that.
But yeah,
Pick Loyola to go up all the way again.
I don't know if it's that kind of year.
Sister Jean's charm ran out. That ran out.
But I'm your host, Joey Tysick. My two partners, Malik Hill, Chris Pappas. This has been Views from the Sideline. We will see you guys next time.
See you later, Chris.